Hello YouTubians. So I've already created this video, but for some reason I went over 15 minutes and my phone won't let me upload it. Went into my settings in YouTube, it says I can have videos longer than 15 minutes, but whatever. So the first thing you'll notice is you should never be seeing ads when you go to watch my videos. I think YouTube has really gotten sucky with that, and a lot of YouTube creators have gotten greedy. One day I might have commercials and stuff, but if you ever want to donate money to me, I'll enable that function on my, you just tell me to enable it on YouTube, and I'll enable the function where people can pay me, and all that money will go towards my school. And I would just donate it to the school's general fund. I can't say what they would use the money for. I don't care. Personally, everything they do is good. So I said I haven't made any videos in the last month now because we had Christmas break, and I needed some good downtime for me. So you can see, like, my eyes are puffy and swollen and red right now. For the last 2 weeks, something has been bothering me. My sinuses are completely blocked up. I'm not usually a person who's allergic to things, but that's what it's acting and feeling like, is that, you know, I'm having an allergic reaction to something. So anyway, I spent a good portion of my time working on plans for a penny plane. I was going to teach my robotics students how to do that. And so what I did is I got the idea is a penny plane is a plane that's made of balsa wood and this very light film that's so lightweight that if you sneeze on it, the film will tear and break. And I wanted something a little sturdier than that. So I went in and did the math on how I could create the penny plane that doesn't weigh a penny. And so here it is. And what I ended up using was this is probably about $3 worth of balsa wood, and this is grocery sack like you'd get at Walmart. You know, when they ask you paper or plastic, this is the plastic. And you can see my glue dried here, and this came off. So, you know, that's just the way it goes. Long story short, I went into this at great depth in the other video, but I came to the realization that, first of all, it's all put together with wood glue, which is, you know, Elmer's glue, basically, and it's water cleanable if you get to it on time. But in my two classrooms, I can't afford to have glue in the classrooms. One is at a church where the floor is carpeted, and I personally tipped my glue over about 10 times. Not once did it hit the ground or spill on the carpet. One time it did spill out onto the table, and I just wiped it up and cleaned it up with a paper towel. But the way they design the ball, it's almost like it's very unstable. It's like they design it so that you'll spill half your glue and have to buy more. But if you're a decent woodworker, you probably go through one of those little bottles of glue in a week, you know. Mine always dries up and I have to go buy new wood glue because when I need it, it's all dried and crusty. I took several woodworking shops in high school, and I was okay at it, but it never held my interest. To me, it's like after buying all of that equipment to do woodworking, I'm that lazy American. I can just go buy a table and save myself some heartache and money, and woodworking is a messy ordeal, man. The shops are always dusty and stuff, which doesn't go along with my interests, which are computers. But anyway, so I made the penny plane. So the one thing was the glue. The second thing was how to cut the balsa wood. Balsa wood cuts like, let's see if I have any down here. I don't remember where I put it. Anyway, balsa wood cuts really easily. And so what I did is, you know, I went and got my little X-Acto knife, and I would just chop right through it. But the thought of this in the hands of a student, and it is not that students are going to be shivving each other and whatnot. It's that, I mean, you know, here's the blade size, and here's my finger size. You see the blade is longer than my finger. All it takes is one moment of accidental, just not paying attention, and somebody's going to cut themselves. Or it's very round. Why they made these things round, I'll never know, but it rolls very easily. And I did do that several times. It rolled. Luckily, the desk I was using had a little lip. But they taught me in parachute warrior school, when you drop the scissors, don't try to catch them. And they literally took time to teach that to us. Because, you know, it's just your natural instinct, and you have to train yourself, literally, you spend time training yourself not to catch dropped scissors because they're very sharp, and scissors aren't always going to stay closed when they drop. You know, as a parachute rigger, I sometimes use, here I set down that and start rolling off my desk, so back into the drawer it goes. But I use scissors like this, okay? They're spring loaded, they're made to hold like this so that I can cut little threads, and it's spring loaded. So if I drop these, and these are very sharp, and I go to catch them, it will stab through my hand. So, you know, I didn't want a student dropping one accidentally, have it go through their tennis shoe into their foot. So I had to cancel out on this project of making this penny plane with my students. It's very lightweight. You see, it's big, okay? It's wider than I am. But when I drop, let me put down the scissors before I do drop them and put a hole in my foot. When I drop this, it falls about as fast as a sheet of paper. Okay? So, and I've taken off the rubber band and the propeller that I made, which would have made it nose heavy and made it fall like, you know, an airplane should, you know, glide. But with those factors involved, I couldn't fathom doing that with my students. So speaking of my students, I have a student, I met his father. It was the last day of the semester. I was working as a chaperone for the school. We have to do so many extra activities every year. That's what keeps the school going. You know, you got to be lunch monitor once a month, you know, that kind of thing. It's a team effort. That's the way it goes. And so I met the father of one of my students. I've met a lot of my students' parents, and I wish I'd met all of them, because as with any job, I have received, let's say, complaints or recommendations or emails from teachers who don't understand me and my sense of humor or something like that. It's kind of sad but true that some students will take what you say, and let's say they don't like robotics, and their parents are like, you should take this, it's a good future knowledge class. They'll take anything I say back to their parents that can be construed in a negative manner and be like, well, he's this kind of person and he said this and I need out of that class. Their parents, and they're like, they don't even talk to me about it, and they yank their students out of the class. So that's why I wish I knew all of the parents for all my kids, because they would know silly things like that don't happen. Slip of the tongues do happen sometimes. I'm an ex-military guy, and I slipped and, you know, said a naughty word once and got in trouble for that. So anyway, I met this student's father, and he was a great guy, and we ended up talking like a half an hour, standing out in the cold, dark, you know, 9 o'clock at night, wintertime. And this student has always been a great student of mine. His name is Colton. And Colton, I want to say thanks to you and props to you, my friend, because you're always there for me. Colton helps me organize my class at the end of the class when everybody, I don't know what it is, you know, when kids stack up at the doorway to get out, they act like you have the plague or something. I don't get it. I've never understood why they want to group together like that, and as soon as the bell rings, they saunter out the door. They don't even like run or anything, so it's like, I don't know why they stack at the door like a SWAT team ready to, you know, enter a building. Colton doesn't do that. He helps me pick up the Lego parts that people were supposed to pick up. He plugs in computers that people left unplugged. He reorganizes computers. He puts them up, you know, the laptops. One of my computer labs is all laptops, and so he puts the laptops up in the case. This beautiful, it's the nicest rolling cart I've ever seen. It's secured with a padlock and everything. And I've never asked him to do that. And he's done it on his own, and he's one of these guys that's so smart, and you can tell by looking at him. It's not like, oh, he's so smart and you'd never know it. It's like, no, you know this guy's smart when you look at him. He's always contemplative. He's not frivolous. He doesn't have to prove how smart he is. He's secure in that. And that's very much appreciated. It's hard to find smart people who aren't cocky and have a chip on their shoulder. That's one of my problems in life, is I've been very cocky and have a chip on my shoulder and have to prove myself to everybody. I wish I didn't have to. I wish I was secure enough in myself not to have to feel that I have to prove myself. So props to you, Colton. Another thing about Colton is he's a Boy Scout, and he's going for his Eagle Scout. All he's got to do is finish his project. All Eagle Scouts have to do a project. This is a long process. Usually you do Cub Scouts, Weebles, and then Boy Scouts. And you're in Boy Scouts for years. You earn all your merit badges, and then you have to do your final Scout project. My brother George, there were 6 kids in my family. My brother George was the only one that stuck it out through all the Scouts and earned his Eagle badge, his Eagle certificate. And to me, that's a huge thing. Bigger than, if you don't know Boy Scouts, research it. It is big. It teaches leadership and that sort of thing. And to give to the community. You know, we all used to, you know, see the little ads with the Boy Scout helping the little old lady across the street. Well, those times have changed, but the Boy Scouts still do a whole lot. It's funny, in the movie Red Dawn back in the 80s with Patrick Swayze, the Russians were interrogating one of the characters, and they said, "And your son was a member of a paramilitary organization." And the guy was the mayor, and he's like, "You mean the Boy Scouts?" "Yeah, he was in the Boy Scouts. That's not a paramilitary organization. They teach them survival skills and stuff, and they know how to camp and fish and canoe and that kind of thing, but it's not a military organization." So anyway, props to Colton for that. Everybody give him a thumbs up in this and say, "Way to go, Colton." On that, as far as paramilitary organizations, I'm a huge supporter of the Sea Cadets. And if you haven't heard of the Sea Cadets, go to Sea Cadets, try it again, SEACADETS.org, and learn about them. They might have one in your area if you've got a kid that needs things to do. And let me tell you, the Sea Cadets in my area, they kick booty. They do a lot of things. They have Navy SEALs that are there to help them out. They just finished 2 weeks ago, 30 of them went up during a snowstorm that down here in Denver, it was like 14 degrees outside, which in the mountains means it's like negative 20. We've been getting huge snow here in Colorado. And they went up snow camping. Like, here's your backpack, here's your sleeping bag, you know the skills, you have your adult chaperones, and go up there and don't freeze your booties off, don't get frostbite. And they do it highly successfully. So sorry about the lack of videos. I'm going to do something to catch up. I got a personal beef with YouTube. Here I am using their platform, and so thank you very much for that. I'm appreciative. But everybody's getting ad hungry and money hungry, and imagining it's the latest craze. It's like everybody when I was a teenager was like, "Oh, I want to be an NFL star. I want to be an NBA star." You know, and they still are. The kids are like that. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to be a multimillionaire." Look at MJ or Michael Jordan, not Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan. "Oh, he's a multimillionaire." You know, look how easy it came to him. It didn't come easy to him, folks. He practiced every living, waking moment of his life. And then he kept his act together while he was a pro. He didn't become some drug-addicted freak, wife beater, you know, money launderer. You know, it's like he kept his head on his shoulders. You know, yeah, he's rich. Yeah, he has a lot of luxuries in life, but he worked very hard for that. And that's kind of why I teach, is I want my kids to know that they can be successful in life, and being a millionaire doesn't make you successful at all. But back to the original subject, YouTube, a lot of people are getting greedy on there. If you want to donate to my school, fine. Make a comment below and I'll enable the part of YouTube where people can give me money. And I swear to you and God above that I will send that money to I will hand it in my school. I do that. I go to the person who handles the funding, and I'm like, "Here's $20. Where I have extra money, I'm like, "Here's $20. I'm raffling off an iPhone right now to give them extra money." So I'm coming up on my 15-minute mark. So until later, don't forget to keep them happy.